This video is the end table planted procedure step 11, and we're just continuing on with the top to finish off making it to size and shape. Step 1 is to scrape any glue left over from the glue process. Now if you clamp the board in place, it'll make it a lot easier to scrape. Then use this glue scraper, and you can use both hands and really scrape it off easy. Get rid of any excess beads of glue. You may have to use the corner of the glue scraper to get down into little grooves and stuff. Get any extra glue out. It's really stuck in there. So all that glue needs to be taken off before we can start machining it. Don't forget to do both sides. So I've got that side done. Flip it over, same thing. Go through the process, clamp it in place, and then scrape this side as well. The next step we're going to do is we're going to take the panel and we're going to surface it down on the planer down to 13/16. We're going to do the same method where we get it just a little bit above finished thickness, and then later on we'll send it through the surface sander to get it down to finished thickness. Now, being that it's a panel, we need to measure at the thickest point. Typically you've got some places that aren't lined up quite exact. If you look right here on this one, this is not quite exactly the same, so this looks about like the thickest spot. And my measurement is just under 1 inch. So on the scale over here for the panels, we're going to start at 15/16, which is the very number 9, the very thickest spot. Just be safe and probably start there on all large panels like this. Just make sure that we're not trying to take too much off on the surface planer at once. So number 9, start. Turn the stop off. 9, start. Okay, and we'll send it through. Make sure you send it through so that the grain is going into the machine and not cutting across the grain. Now, for the next pass, do not forget, you gotta flip this over. Number 8, start. Flip it over, do the other side. So we have some partial flat over here, and this is gonna make it the flattest. Same thing, we're gonna flip it over again. We're gonna go down to 7, which is the 13/16. This side should be in good shape now, and then we'll do this other side here. All right, the next step we're going to joint an edge. And you need to be careful here to remember what is an edge and what is an end. This side right here is an end. Now the end in this panel is longer than the edge is, but we're not jointing an edge. You don't do that on the jointer, okay? We're gonna joint an edge here so that we have a nice clean edge. And we jointed it before, but after you clamp it and stuff, you want to go back and you want to join it again to make sure that it's nice and straight. Just a couple things here. This is really easy to go like this, okay? So we still go through the process. You need to have your hand here to hold against the fence and then your other hand behind it. Do not put your hand up on top. Make sure you're here behind it, pushing it.
Here we go.
It's going to have the tendency to push away, and it did that on me just a little bit. So I'm going to join it again because I've got a point part on here that's not going to be square. Keep it tight against that fence. Now we have a good straight edge that we're going to be able to use for the next process. Okay, so we're back over here to the panel saw. We've got the jointed edge right here. It needs to go down against the rollers, and we're gonna trim one end off, okay? One of the end grain edges off to get a nice straight edge. We'll clamp it in place again, roll it in here. You bring the saw down a little bit and then just push this in until it hits the blade. Try that again. Okay. Clamp it there so it stays. And then I just need to move it in about 1/8 of an inch or so, and I can use this tape right here. Slide it in about 1/8 of an inch, maybe a titch more. We have a little bit more room to work with. Okay. Clamp it in place, and then we're going to cut it just like we cut the D-ring. There's the piece that I cut off, and now we have an edge here that is square. All right, for the next step, we're back at the table saw, and we need to cut the panel to the finished size. Remember, we have an edge that's been jointed, side here with end grain that is we cut on the panel saw, and so now we need to cut these other two edges with the table saw. The finished size is 20 inches by 18.5. Okay, so obviously this longer direction is going to be the 20, and then this shorter one is going to be the 18.5. Start with, it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to go ahead and start with the 20 inch. So I'm going to set this to 20 inches. Check your blade height. Right now we're too low. Okay, got it there. And make sure you're cutting for, keep this straight, what you're going to be cutting. So we need to do this one at 20.
Alright. Use your hands, don't use the push stick. Just try to use the bend, push it all the way through. Okay.
Now we got our 20 inches. Now we're going to put the other edge against the fence, and we're going to cut our 18.5.
Same process.
All right, we're back over at the surface sander. We need to go ahead and sand both sides until we get this down to 3/4 of an inch. Always gauge your board first so that we don't have any problems ruining the machine. Open it up, hold the down arrow, now hold the up arrow till it comes in contact and stops. And now we're good to go. Again, make sure that it's going with the grain of the wood. Measure it periodically so you don't make it too small. I'm getting close, just got a couple more passes.